Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on planning with the occasional review. Planning has always been my way of working out problems and solving the day-to-day issues in my life. Join me as I experiment on how to best tackle projects, figure out how to stick with habit tracking, and celebrate the wins, both big and small. So grab a cup or a glass of whatevs and let's get on with the video. Hey planner friends. Okay, so here's the thing. My niece was like, Auntie, I need a planner. And I don't want the one that I have right now. I want one that I can use for a certain project that she wants to keep track of. And she wanted something that was inexpensive. She didn't want to deal with like a really expensive planner that she had to be precious with. And I said, I'll go look and see what they have at Walmart. And she was like, honestly, Auntie, anything is fine. I just need to write a few things down to keep track of some stuff for science fair. So here are the two options that I thought she would actually like from what they had at my local Walmart. So this is a Boss Babe, and this is the Pen+Gear. And so this one actually has the measurements. I was looking at this and unless, it could be biting me right now. You're like, Sylvia, it's there. I didn't see anything about the sizing for this. They seem to be the same in height, but this one is a little bit wider, so more like a true B6 because it's very square, which I really love. And this one is a little bit more rectangular, so it's cut off a little bit more. But they're both really nice, and I wanted to get her something she could fit in a backpack or in a purse if she didn't carry her backpack. And I thought whichever one she didn't use, I would use the other one and see how it goes for those people who are interested in not having a $60 planner. Or sometimes we buy like a maybe $30 planner and then we buy like $75 worth of accessories and you're like, what's happening here? So these were the two options I thought were pretty decent, but they both have their pluses and minuses, so let's get into it. First, let's start with the bigger one. I also picked up some sticky notes for her. That way she could go ahead and use like these as a dashboard. I thought the colored ones would work best for different subjects and topics. And then just having a bigger one so she could write bigger notes, or more notes rather, would work really, really well. And both of these were, I believe, under $2. Okay, so with this planner, my goodness, I love this dashboard. It is a very thick piece of plastic, which I love. Y'all know that I love butterflies. Sorry, my phone rang, and it's beautiful. So this first page is actually just a clear white page so that this pops a little bit more. The back is actually not clear. It's more of a solid plastic, but I think either one of these, when you're done, you can go ahead and cut these down to fit like in a personal, ring planner, and they'd work really nice as a dashboard. You could certainly put a sticker or even peel this off so that it wouldn't be there anymore if you were no longer in the 2025/2026 year. But beautiful, and I really do love them. Now we have some gold hardware, which is nice. I think it matches really well with this, and all of this matches. So from the outside, this looks like my favorite. And I think a lot of people, if you know me for a while, and follow my channel for a while, you know that I love me some butterflies. If you put a butterfly on it, the odds are I'm going to take it. So in the front, like I mentioned, we have this clear piece of paper, or just rather a white blank piece of paper. Now here's the struggle. The paper in here is very, very thin. I mean, it's like the thinnest copy paper you could possibly get, which is going to be a minus for those people who like to use highlighters, especially those that tend to bleed a little bit more. I think that we'll have to do a pen test. I think this would work great for people who like to do things in pencil, or they want to use like a simple Bic pen where it's not going to bleed through. Anything else, like if you were to use maybe a Sharpie, that's going to ghost a lot. And something like the Paper Mate flares are probably going to bleed through a ton. So we do have an emergency contact and contacts. Now, teenagers tend not to use these pages, but it's really nice to go ahead and do like a picture collage that you can tape over the top of this, or anything else. Like you could make your schedule on the computer, and you could go ahead and tape that over that spread, and we have 2025, 2026, because like I mentioned, you get the last quarter of 2025 in here, and these are just really nice, very clean. Now the other struggle, here's another minus, is the fact that all of these tabs are just paper. So as you will see in the other planner, these are not how do I put this? They're not laminated, so they're not very stiff, and so it's a little harder to grab onto them. They're going to bend. Now, this does a decent job of protecting them, so they're not going to get folded. The other struggle too is that neither one of these has a closure. It's simple to add one on. Of course, you just put the holes and use eyelids, and you know you can get elastic, even the white one, at Walmart in the sewing like area or section. You can buy them online and get different colors, but it would have been really nice to have some kind of a brown or a gold that would have been matchy-matchy with this to keep it closed, so that when it's in one's purse, or if you're using this for you know, school and you want to put it in a backpack, it doesn't get opened, or you know, these pages don't get messed up, because again, they are just paper. There is no lamination to the tips, and you can see that a little of them, I think because they put color and this paper is so thin, is a little bit wavy, probably because of the dye on it. Would you call it dye? I would. I don't really know. All right, so we have them titled 2025-2026 for the year at the glance, and then we have the holidays, and this is a nice section. I like how this is very clean, and by clean I just mean that it would be really easy to cover this up and use this for something else. Like you could put books that you want to read or movies you want to watch, and then the dates in which you accomplished those goals right next to it, and it doesn't have to be for birthdays or special days. It can be whatever you would like. And that's a really simple and easy to cover up with either whiteout or just some washi to make it look a little more decorative. I do like the different colors going, you know, all the way down, and they're more muted tones, which I also appreciate. I feel like they match really, really well with the front cover here, which are also very muted, beautiful tones. Then we have important dates. Now, let me zoom in just a smidgen because maybe I'm too far out for you guys. I apologize. Okay, so this is something that I will have a talk with my niece. I think I've done it in the past, but I like to use like smaller sticky notes like this, or even page flags that are somewhat transparent, because then if you are someone like me and you are working on a project like writing books throughout the year, and you're like, okay, between June and July, because we're in the mid-year, I want to start working on a new book project. I can do that on a page flag, and then if it doesn't work out, I can just peel it off and move it to the next month or the next month, and then it's not like, oh, I wrote it there and now I have to put white out. So this is, I use this more like a dashboard in that way, and so I feel like this is plenty of space, whereas maybe people would want more. You can always do something like that. You can certainly write on these and then use a page flag or sticky note on top to add more information for that month. Ways around that. Now this is pretty clean, which I appreciate, and I really do like the numbers here. So they're not too small for me, and they're not too big. I think Walmart also has the brand, I can't remember, it might be a Mead brand, but I think they call it C Big, something like that. I'll flash a picture on the screen, which would work really well for my mom who's in her 70s, because these numbers are quite big and really nice. My niece doesn't need that, nor do I at this point in my life, but who knows, it could be around the corner. So that was another planner I would think about, but again, since they are quite large and we're not in need of that, I didn't go for that planner. We do have the month before and the month after, which is nice. There's a nice big notes section area here. Everything like, so if you have bigger handwriting, these are kind of chunky. They're not as skinny. So I feel like I could fit a lot on here. I even like that there's clean space here for me to write important goals, or even a quote of the month or a mantra at the top, or even a main project that I want to work on. The same for the weeklies, which is really nice. Now, this can irk people. Sometimes it just gets under my skin when they decide to not give equal amount to the weekend, but because my niece wants to be working on her science fair project, and she's going to be doing this mostly during the week, and it's also going to be like an extra planner. Pretty much every student in the US at least is using some kind of online calendar through their school. So she uses Google Calendar, but just sometimes you need to write things down and track stuff. It's really nice to do on paper. So what I'm getting at is the weekend isn't that necessary for her. Again, because they are so small, you could always use sticky notes on top if you needed more space, and that is true of these as well. So we have all of October in here, and again, we are now in November at the very beginning. At the making of this video, you see here that in some of these monthlies, I don't remember how it looked on the first one. Okay, so we had all 31 days and everyone got a box, but on this month, where the first is on the very end, tail end of the week, you have a day having to share with another day like this. Again, it's not that serious because you can use a page flag or a sticky note on top if you needed to add extra information, but not everyone's a fan of this. You can also just go ahead and mark off the 30th and the line and move it up here. I kind of wish they didn't have that divide there so that it's, you know, because it makes me feel like this is already marked out. But you can move the 30th up here and give the 23rd its own box. So that is something else that's a hack that you can do. And the other thing that is kind of, it's not a negative, but I'm bummed that they don't give us a page like before and after the month, just so that you could write anything you wanted, like maybe your goals for the month or something like that. There is a lot of pages at the back, a significant amount in comparison to the other planners. So here we go. Oh, it starts at the back here. So we got a notes section here. And again, this is really wide. My niece has really big handwriting because she's still really young. And so I think she'll appreciate that they're not as tiny as, say, a Hobonichi Weeks or anything like that, because that grid is quite small. But this is really nice. Let's see here. After the notes section, you have what they call an ideas section, which is really nice again because you can draw out something if you wanted to do like a mind map or something like that, and you have some dot grid at the bottom. This is really great for that. I love that. I love that they give you the option between lines and dot grid because some people's brains work differently on line than they do on dot grid, and sometimes you're not going to get it together on the lined paper to draw. Like, you know, if you have to divide something into quarters or thirds or whatever, and you have to measure that out, it's easier to do when you can just count the dots. And then we have the contacts. Again, I like how clean this is because you can cover this with washi tape and make this page or the spread into something else. She could also put sticky notes back here if she wanted to. Again, this paper is really, really thin, and I feel like, let's see. This one actually, no, yeah, it is. So these are super sticky notes, which is a bummer because I feel like they will really crease the paper when it's this thin and get stuck a little bit more. It might pull up some of the paper because it really is kind of the cheapest paper that you could possibly get. It's not having any struggles, I don't think. You know, flipping back and forth. Sometimes if the rings are kind of junky, and I did check them before I went home and bought this planner, but they seem to not be sticking or anything like that. So that's really good. Sometimes when you have really thin paper like this, it doesn't have the weight needed to flip and it will get stuck easier. Not an issue thus far, but I do like the different colors. Like mustard is just one of those colors that I really do love. So in August, we got some of that. And that is this entire planner. I do love the amount of, you know, notes and idea section, even a goals spread here in the back. So that's really nice. Oops, I almost got stuck after I said it wasn't going to. That was probably me. But very, very nice. Love it. You can draw a line and, you know, have two columns if you needed to, or draw lines this way and have rows. So again, you have these two dashboards where you can put sticky notes. So if you were concerned about the super sticky notes having issues on the paper, you could certainly do something like that. And that is the first planner. So let's go to the second one. Okay, so with the second planner, this one is a little bit more high quality. I'm not a fan of the cover as much, but I did go with this one because there were some kind of what I would consider, you know, some people might call granny or old old-timey covers. Whereas this one, even though it has flowers, I feel like it's a little more tasteful. It's dark, so my niece would really like that. The colors are really, really nice. The back is just plain black, so that's also great. It's a very thick cover, so it's going to protect this well, and you can put sticky notes and use them as a dashboard. Now this one has a pocket, which I love. I'm like, why doesn't the other one have a pocket? For a couple more dollars, could we get a pocket and all of the tabs, you know, laminated? That would make me happy. So here we have a dashboard. This is the CEO, I believe, of Boss Babe, and it says here somewhere, yeah, Boss Babe. There's also another dashboard in the back. This has holidays, and then it just has the same one as the front, which is really nice, and you can just put sticky notes on here. Now, even though the front of it is very dark and you're thinking, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like that, it's very light and clean on the inside, which is lovely. So let's go to the monthly first. And again, this is a 15-month calendar, so you get the last quarter of 2025 in here. The boxes are nice size. They're more rectangular, whereas I think these ones, I know, are we doing a comparison? That's going to take even longer. I apologize. I just want to see. So, well, yeah, these ones are a little bit fatter. They're more of a true square, whereas these ones are more rectangular. So you're going to fit more in here, and that's because this one is slightly wider. Still really nice. I like how this breaks down the side a little bit more, so you have notes and then you have goals for tracking off to the side here. We have like this peachy color, which is really pretty because it's not that like bubblegum pink, and it's a little bit more subtle. We also have a quote at the top of each of the months, and the weeklies look like this, and I really do like the font that they chose to use. The numbers again are really big, so my mom could actually use this one even though it's not meant to be for people who are having trouble seeing. These are even, I mean, if they were a little bit bolder, it probably would be perfect, but I still feel like she could see this perfectly fine. Here's how the weekly looks, and this is more true to the Hobonichi layout, even the Traveler's Company weekly layout. You can divide this in half. I like that it's all on one side and then they break this down for you. It would have been fine if they gave you some dark grid or some lines, but I do like this. I think it'll work really well for her. So currently she is reading 2 novels. One is The Road and the other one is The Handmaid's Tale. And so she's kind of reading those simultaneously in school. One's due before the other. You can't see this because it's pretty faint. Let me see if I can pull it up and it will show. Maybe it does a little bit, but there is a line dividing each of these days. So you actually get 2 lines for each day, which is really, really nice. And that just allows you to, like, if she read The Handmaid's Tale, she can actually, you know, abbreviate it here and put like an hour, and then maybe underneath it, if she read a little bit of The Road in school, because they get some time in class to do that, and it was only 15 to 20 minutes, she could do that all on the same day, which I really like. Over here we have the habits and goal tracking, and you just can open that up to anything. This actually says weekly dashboard. Then we have task here, and then it says delegate to, which I also like. Okay, sorry guys, I had to answer my phone. So as I was saying, what was I saying? My niece Jade is the vice president of her sophomore class. So every Thursday they have a student senate meeting, and she goes to that, and it's really nice for her to be able to have a calendar where she can just come and look at what's going on for the month and what's happening in the future. And you do have like the 2 months, the month before and the month after this one right here, all on one spread. So she can write down notes, she can put a sticky note here and know that that's something that she needs to do. Sometimes when you're in class, even if it's for student senate, somebody might be like, Jade, you need to put away your phone. And you're like, but I'm trying to look at my Google Calendar. So this is a way that she can do that and not have to deal with the online, or sometimes her phone is dead because she forgets to charge it or what have you. So it's always nice to have a physical planner that you can pop out during a meeting, or even when you just need to have a discussion with a teacher and you need to look at your schedule. You can certainly white these out, put a little washi, and name them something else if you wanted to. It's really pretty simple. And again, I like how clean this is. I like that every single day gets its own little section and they're all even. So that's nice for my brain to have that symmetry. At the beginning of this though, you only have contacts, and then you have this weekly dashboard that shows you how they would fill it out, which is nice to have an example, but that's it. So you don't get any other pages at the front, nor do I think you get any pages at the back, maybe like one. So here is that dashboard they have in the back, and then we have one notes page, and that's it. So that's kind of a bummer. That is a bummer, boss. What did I call this? Boss babe. I wish they had more pages for notes in the back. As you saw, even though we don't get the quality of paper in here, we get plenty of extra notes pages. Now this has a really nice quality of page. I don't know, it's not necessarily as thick as most people use in their personal planner, but it is it feels like a little bit thicker, as well as being more bright, more of a brilliant white, whereas this one looks a little bit more of a gray toned in person. And I know the lighting is crap, but it's winter time, so this is probably how it's gonna look for most of the videos going forward until, you know, spring. So the other thing is the tabs are really nice here, and they're all laminated, so that's beautiful. This cover, like the other one, is really nice, so it covers all the tabs, so you don't have to worry about if you have this in a purse or if you have it in a backpack, these getting bent up and messed up. But the other thing is, this one also, again, does not have a closure, and it's like, come on, people. If you look at Walmart at the pocket planners, they tend to all have closures, I think, because they just understand it being so small, it's going to go in your purse. But a lot of people carry this size, which is roughly probably B6 Slim. With them, you can do that. It's really nice. I mean, it's not too crazy big, so I'm like bummed that they didn't do that. Again, it's pretty simple to do. Yeah, so those are the differences. Let me show you again the covers. I think at first glance, a lot of people might want the butterflies. Maybe you're like, Sylvia, you're still a child, and this is not an adult's planner. And so this is a little more adult. We don't have that folder, which I wish they had in here. So I think that these were roughly about the same price. I'll put them up on the screen, and I kind of wish if this was like $2 to $3 more and it had more quality, this would be the winner. But just this cover and the fact that I know I could, you know, cut this down and use it again makes me happy and made me want to really try it. And I did love the muted tones. I love that it was a nice big square size. I appreciate that. Not everyone loves the B6 or A6 planners because they are so square. But I thought they were really nicely done, and I liked that there was a lot more space here. So you could certainly put these sticky notes in here. This one is a little bit too big. And that is the two planners I picked up for my niece. We'll see which one she decides to gravitate towards, and the other one I'm going to use. For what? Who knows? I don't know. I can use it for a bunch of different things. You can track your health in these. It could just be for meeting notes. It could be just, I hate to use the word dirty planner, and I've had somebody on my channel, and good for you for telling me this, say, Sylvia, there's no such thing as a dirty planner. It just means that you're using your planner, and you're right. But some people do. They keep like a dirty planner like this. Obviously not me, because my planners always look crazy. And then they, you know, they'll take their really expensive planner and take all the information and make it nice and neat. I just don't have time for that in my life, people. I got writing to do. So I don't know what I'm going to be using it for, but the nice thing is we can use it immediately today or tomorrow. She'll be here tomorrow, so we'll see which one she picks. Do you want to do a vote down below? Tell me which one you think she's going to go for. I feel like at first glance she's going to be like, the butterflies, how dare you? How dare you try to take this from me? But then she's going to see the quality of the inside, the paper, and everything, and I think she's really going to like this layout a lot. So that's where I'm at. Which one would you choose, guys? Tell me down below. I know that this is a little bit more simplistic for us planner people, though not so much, because we know how to kind of rig this to make it whatever we want it to. Plus I could always make a sticky note that had like a weekly section or whatever for each week. I could also cut down a dashboard. Like I've had one of these. Oh, this is like the perfect size. This is for my my days one that I had, just like the free day. And that can just have any of my sticky notes on, so that I can have this off to the side whenever, you know, no matter what week I'm on and what month I'm on, excuse me. and this can fit right in there. So I kind of like that. I'd probably have to make mine a little bit bigger so my tab could stick out, or I could put it on the top and there's no worries there. So maybe I'll make another one just for the top of this, because it does stick out a little bit because my days is a little bit taller. So that is another thing you can do. For those who are like, I am not a fan of the paper and the fact that they're not laminated. We have a ton of different tabs. You know, the Midori, those tabs are a go-to. They're very thin, they're very nice, so they're not going to weigh down this paper. I think I have some here. And then, you know, I might be able to find them, but I probably have to do it at the top. You can see that one, and you can see this one when it's open. Can you see it even better? It kind of gets lost on the top up here. I can't see it unless I pick it up. So maybe something that's more of like a post-it tab would work better, like the white ones, because this is what that is, so that it would stick out a little bit more. Thoughts and feelings, but not too shabby for, you know, under $10. And you're just looking for a second planner. Maybe it's like a meal planner and you're trying to work on health and your family's health, and you're like, I'm going to get this together with the recipes and stuff. I think either one of these would work really well. Again, quality of this with the paper and the tabs being laminated is just a little bit higher, but there's something about this layout that I liked a little bit more than this. This one can be a little overwhelming. And if you want something that's not that serious, this is definitely a go-to. So we'll see which one her brain chooses. All right, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if I didn't tell you already, I don't have enough time to do a pen test now, but I will add it in at some point. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.